Hi everybody, we're broadcasting from Efrat, Ira Kodesh, wishing you all well, all my friends and family in Lincoln Square Synagogue, and my friends in BRY, in Boca. May you all have a speedy recovery, and may we all pass through this time as easy as possible. My name is Michael Kupietzky. I was born in the United States and made Aliyah with my family in 1973, about a week before the Yom Kippur War. I made Aliyah, I came to Efrat 25 years ago with my wife and children, and we love this place, and it's an amazing place to live. I'm an artist. I specialize in Judaica art and interior design and home design. I'm influenced by everything that happens in my life, my surroundings, and living in Efrat is a perfect setting for inspiring my creativity, my artwork. When I first came to Efrat, we were the last home on the northern tip of Efrat. We actually didn't even have any sidewalks. I remember we had a plank that went from the street to our home because there was a big ditch with the electric cables and with the telephone cables. And we were fortunate enough to have amazing neighbors, all salt-of-the-earth people. We built a local shul, and we set up a daily learning of Daf Yomi. At the time, Daf Yomi was not very popular. And today, if you go in Efrat, I think you can find a shiur anywhere around. A lot of my Judaica ideas come from learning the Gemara. If you look in the Gemara that I have, you'll see that there are different ideas that come up throughout my learning. My basis for Judaica is form follows function, and therefore once I have the idea, I have to think of how do I turn something spiritual into something materialistic. And the beauty of Judaica is the fact that we can combine the two together, and through the Judaica, I'm able to give you a feeling of what it is to be Jewish, what it is to do tradition of Judaism, and it's an amazing thing. The holiday of Shavuot is coming up, and I thought that it would be very appropriate to film this particular interview in a shul that I built about 6 or 7 years ago that was influenced actually by the Olei LaRegel of Shavuot. To my right over here we have an amazing view, and you can actually see the road where Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, everybody traveled. And you can see the road where the Jewish people would come from Hebron, and they would make their way up to Jerusalem with their offerings. The inspiration of this particular synagogue that we're in is that I wanted to give a feeling of what it is to be in the Beit HaMikdash and what it is you would feel when you went Chag HaShavuot and offered your offerings. I'm now going to take you around the shul and show you different aspects of how this particular shul is in a perfectly situated on the side of the road, and why Efrat is such a special place where we live. The parochet itself actually has a replica of an ancient coin from the Bar Kokhba rebellion. They were minted right after we won the rebellion, and what you see over here is a palm tree in the center. The reason why the palm tree was chosen is because we are located in Dekel. Efrat is divided into 7 mountains. Each mountain is a different Sheva Minim of Eretz Yisrael, and we happen to be in Dekel. So what I did is I used the Dekel as the focal point of this particular parochet. When we open up the Aron Kodesh, we'll find that there is no door. The reason why there's no door is because the idea is that this should be as if you're going into Kodesh HaKodeshim in the Beit HaMikdash. So what we see over here is the 2 kruvim. Actually, whenever I make a piece of Judaica, I need to consult with Rabbi Riskin to make sure that halachically everything is okay. Before I do anything in Judaica that I think might have some halachic problems, I asked Rabbi Riskin, and one of the things that we have over here is the kruvim. Now, if you look at the different Aronei Kodesh in the Middle East, you'll find that they never have any faces, they never have any animals, they always only have writings or objects. If you look at Europe, you'll actually see there's lions and there's other features in their decor in the shuls that they built. Over here what we have is we have the kruvim, and I use the sheer curtain in back of it to give you a feeling that they're actually hovering over the Aron HaBrit. The Aron HaBrit itself was made out of gold, but I thought that gold would be too much in this particular surroundings. So I used again the local stone. The problem with the local stone is that it looked very dead. When I was a child growing up, I used to watch Indiana Jones, and I remember when they opened up the ark, there's suddenly this beam of light. So the idea over here is to make it a little bit lighter looking and actually put in a thin piece of glass with very strong lighting inside. If you're sitting in the shul looking at the Aron Kodesh, it actually looks like it's floating. If you notice on the bottom, it is actually in the air. To achieve this, I needed to put a mirror further back because it's really sitting on the floor because this particular piece weighs about a ton. Surrounding the Aron, we have the golden psukim going around, the tabat, and the psukim over here are actually the psukim from the Torah. When we open the Aron, we see that the backsplash is oil painting, and in the Beit HaMikdash itself, we actually had erotic paintings all around the Aron HaBrit, which the Goyim, after when they destroyed the temple, made fun of. But in Judaism, when a husband and wife get married, it's considered kiddushin. It's considered to be the most highest thing that you can do, and therefore it's holy. So of course, I made it a little bit blurry, so we don't go into any details, but it's a beautiful back splash for the Aron Kodesh itself. The Aron can hold 6 Sifrei Torah. This particular sefer that I made is made out of actually the local stone and the local trees that surround Efrat. I try to use the Jerusalem stone as much as I can in my work. This is a mezuzah that's actually made out of, as I said, the local stone. And when you walk into one's home, you would see, Baruch atah bevoecha, welcome he who is coming. And then as you exit, you would see, Baruch atah b'tzeitecha, blessed he who is leaving. The next mezuzah is made out of Jerusalem stone, or as we said, Judean stone, and it has the entire text of the Shema carved onto it. The idea is to give a feeling of something that you would find in an archaeological digging, or something that's from the past. One of the beauties about living where we live is that when we look outside and we see, as I said, the road that our ancestors went through, we feel that we're connected to the past. We also look outside and we see the present. But when you think about it, we also see the future. We see in the future how people will be going from Hebron up to Jerusalem to the Beit HaMikdash. This particular mezuzah was designed in inspiration of the Qumran Megillot. They found Dead Sea Scrolls. They were inside canisters. So the outer shape of the mezuzah is supposed to remind you of the canister. If you go to the Israel Museum, you'll see that the Book of the Shrine is the cover of one of those particular canisters. This particular mezuzah, you have the Shema Yisrael on the outside, meaning that the outside mirrors the inside. The Ner Tamid, which is supposed to remind us of the menorah that was lit in the Beit HaMikdash, what I did over here is I have a reflection of the Kohen Gadol lighting the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash. When you come here at night, you actually see the pasuk Shemen Zayit Zach Katit Lamaor, and you see the Kohen, a reflection of the Kohen on the floor and lighting the menorah. So when you come here at night, it's just a beautiful, beautiful setting to see the Ner Tamid. The Ner Tamid was also designed to be modern, but yet traditional. It has the traditional shape of an old oil lamp from somewhere in Europe or in the Middle East, but it has a very modern twist to it because the chain is made out of actually cylinders that are intertwined into each other. The menorah, the Chanukiah, was inspired by the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash itself. As we know, the menorah had oil lamps on the top of them. Kaftor v'ferach, but I thought that if I make a three-dimensional sculpture of the menorah itself, or of the Chanukiah, it would lose part of its charm. So what I did over here is a little bit of a modern twist again, which is I took a very thick piece of glass. I carved in the back of the glass a three-dimensional, two-dimensional duplicate of the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash, and I placed on top actual oil lamps where you put the oil on top, you have a little wick, and every day you can light the Chanukiah. Inspired by this particular Aron Kodesh, I came out with a menorah for Chanukah, which is a replica of an ancient oil lamp. The idea over here is that you have the Greek key, which ties us into Chanukah. Again, Chanukah was a war that was fought actually across the road from us. Across the road we have a place called Elazar. Elazar is named Elazar because the Greeks brought in elephants, which was their tanks at the time, to crush the rebellion. Elazar HaKohen takes a spear and he kills the elephant. The elephant crushes Elazar, and actually in archaeological diggings they found remains of an elephant in Elazar, and that's why Elazar is called Elazar today. So this particular menorah is a menorah that looks like an ancient oil lamp, and when you open it up, it turns into actually a menorah. This is the shamash, and these are the oil lamps. I'm standing in front of the mechitza. The mechitza for the Ezrat Nashim. In the Beit HaMikdash, they also had a Ezrat Nashim. As I said, the concept of this whole shul is to bring you back to the time of the Beit HaMikdash. So in back of us, where the women pray, we have women's psukim that have to do with prayer. And they're done in a very ancient type of style. It's more of a Herodian style. And in back, we can see on the wall there is a clock. What's special about the clock is that the clock has the psukim that have to do with time. As Shlomo HaMelech said, there's a time for everything. There's a time for war, there's a time for love, there's a time to be born, and there is time to die. So it was a very appropriate concept to use these particular psukim on the clock. The clock itself is again made out of a local stone. This time it's not actually a Judean stone, even though it's from Judea, but it's not one of those three stones that we mentioned in the beginning, which was the yellow, the white, and the red. You have to excuse the mess, but as you see, everything is piled up in back of me because we haven't been here for 2 months. With the coronavirus, we've had minyanim on each one of the porches. It happened to have been a very spiritual, uplifting situation where we just walk outside and all the neighbors get together, and even if you can't see the person and you can hear them, we had a beautiful minyan. The rabbi of the shul, Rafi Kadosh, actually went from minyan to minyan, which is something that he learned, I guess, from Rabbi Riskin, and he gave Dvar Torahs at each one of the minyanim. The shulchan and the bima and the bench are designed to remind you of the mizbeach that was outside in the outer court of the Beit HaMikdash. If you look carefully, you'll see that there's an angle over here, which we read the Torah, and then the angle continues towards here. Because the mizbeach outside of the Beit HaMikdash actually had a ramp leading up to it. As I explained before, all the work that I do, everything is the Bauhaus principle, which means form follows function. So everything that I do is very functional. Even when I design a home, I make sure that anything in the home is functional, it's usable, it's friendly. I still, as I mentioned before, when I build the homes, I always try to get the personality of the person that's going to be moving into that home in the home itself, and I add in all the different elements that will give you a feeling of being in a special place that's called Jerusalem, Efrat, Haifa, or anywhere else in Israel, and not feeling like you're in another country. The shulchan itself has a piece that opens up for the gabbai. Both sides open, so they have a place to put their sidurim. It raises up just in case we're davening, in case there's a Sfaradi minyan and they're using a Sfaradi Sefer Torah. The side also has a drawer that the gabbai has all the names of everybody that he's calling up to the Torah. And if you look carefully again, I have this Herodian design going on where you have the gold leaf and you have the local Judean stone. The bima was designed to accommodate a Sephardic Sefer Torah, as I said. The reason why is because this particular shul has two shuls to it. It has a Sephardi minyan and has an Ashkenazi minyan. We share the same rabbi. the rabbi actually prays with the Sfaradim on Friday night, and he prays with the Ashkenazim on Shabbat. He switches off in Yamim Noraim, and it's the beauty of this particular shul is that we're all together as a community, and just because the nusach of the tefillah is different, we need two separate minyanim.